Is your Saab 9.3 heater fan not working? No air blowing in? Today I'm going to show you how to remove the heater fan so it can be replaced. I'll also explain to you what the common cause of failure is and what you can do about it and how you can prevent it in the first place. So stay tuned, let me show you how. First of all, move the seat back as far as it'll go. Empty your glove box, including the rubber mat. Temporarily close your glove box again. With a T25 Torx bit, remove these two screws. Open the glove box again with a 4mm flat blade screwdriver. Prise out the light and disconnect the spades. And with your T25 Torx again, remove 1, 2, 3 screws. Remove the panel from the end of the fascia and pull the glove box forwards. If your car has automatic climate control, disconnect the air pipe from the back of the glove box vent and lift away the glove box. This is the wee beastie that we're trying to get to, but we're not there yet. You can't get it out just yet. Reach in behind the glove box area just to here, to the top of the footwell light, and push the footwell light down and disconnect it from the harness. With your T25 Torx bit, remove this screw from the console side panel just above the seat rail. Get your fingers under the bottom of the side panel and pull the side panel down and backward to remove. Also remove this screw here that holds the end of the passenger side kick panel, also T25 Torx. Reach underneath the kick panel and next to where the footwell light goes, reach up and remove the T25 screw that holds the passenger side kick panel to the motor. Pull down at the inner end and release this hook and the panel will come away. There are two clips, top and bottom, on the connector that need to be lifted up and pushed down, and then the connector can be pulled out from the motor unit. Now with a T20 Torx, release this screw and tug hard to release the footwell vent from the side of the HVAC unit and remove. Before I actually show you how to get this motor fan unit out, what is it that actually causes them to fail? There are two failure modes that you can get. One is the motor makes a squealing or screeching noise. That's coming from the motor bearings. And the other is that it simply packs up, and in that instance it's probably the motor control unit, which is below the motor here. There is, however, only one real root cause for these problems, and that is water ingress. The cabin air filter is up here, roughly where my hand is. And I have already shown you a video showing how water gets past that filter and the filter housing and into the car. That water can do damage to the motor and fan unit, or it gets down past the motor fan unit and soaks the carpet in the passenger footwell. I'll link to that video down in the description. But if it gets onto the motor, it gets into the bearings and causes the bearings to go dry and screech, or if it gets down inside the housing, it can get onto the back of the connection between the controller and the motor, and from there it can get into the controller, and the controller will then pack up. You can replace just the controller with the T20 Torx bit. Remove two screws, pull that way. So if your motor is simply packed up, see if you can get yourself a controller. But if your motor was making a screeching noise, with the controller removed, take these three screws out with the T10 Torx, take hold of the fan unit and the main unit, get a good grip on both, waggle the fan, and you can withdraw the fan unit with the motor. If water gets into this casing, it falls to the bottom. This is the bottom here, and there is a drain hole there, and in actual fact you can see that mine has suffered this exact problem. Water has come down inside the motor unit and it's come out of this drain hole and it's made this plastic dirty. But that water also gets onto this bottom bearing, and this is the one that's liable to be screeching. get some silicone lubricant and just put a dab on the bearing and then spin it. Get that silicone lubricant worked into the bearing, that may well release it. Do the same for the other bearing, which is inside here. A quick dab, spin the motor, do it both ways up. Then you can put the motor unit back in, making sure to get the connector unit there in the right place here. So align it up and push it down. Put the 3 screws back in and return your controller. But taking this motor out, making sure it's dry, putting a bit of lube on the bearings and making sure that you've sealed up the filter housing are very worthwhile preventative measures. As you can see, you could well have thought that there's nothing wrong with mine. This dirt here shows that there's been water ingress, but this is a problem that almost everyone who owns a 9.3 will encounter, because they all leak water past the cabin filter housing. Now you need to be something of a contortionist. There are 7 T20 screws that you need to undo to release the motor from the HVAC system, but you need to get at them from underneath. I'll show you the position of the screws in a moment once I've got the motor out. Once you've got the 7 T20 screws out, there are 3 clips, 1 at the back and 2 at the front, and then the motor drops out. Now that I've got the motor out, let me show you the 7 screws that need to be removed. If you look here on this view, looking straight on the motor, I've arrowed the 7 screws. You will need a Torx screwdriver because some of the fixings require a bit of a long reach, but you will need a small 1/4-inch socket with a T20 Torx bit on it in order to get at that and that fixing. And then there's 3 clips that need to be released. These 2 here, just above the connector on each side, and then at the back against the dashboard, that needs to be released, and then the motor drops out. I'll put this picture into a Google document so that you can download it and keep it on your phone. I'll also do a black and white picture so that you can print it if you prefer. I'll put the link in the description. So now you can put it all back together. It all goes back together the reverse way to the way you got it out. Push it up into place, it'll clip into place. Then remember that there are 7 fixings to go back in. When you're putting the footwell vent back in, make sure that you push this section here firmly onto the HVAC unit and make sure it clicks firmly into place. And don't forget its screw. If you got value out of this video, please, down by the title, give it a like, and I shall see you next time.